The sprawling academy floated high above the surface of Zarathis, a planet bathed in the silver glow of twin moons. It was a place where beings from across the galaxy came to learn, to test themselves, and to rise above the ordinary. Among the countless students, Lyra stood out instantly. Her skin shimmered like liquid metal, her golden eyes burned with intelligence, and her movements carried the grace of a predator. She was known not only for her sharp mind, but also for her unrelenting pride. Few dared challenge her, and those who did often left humiliated. When Kale arrived, Lyra noticed him immediately. He was small, not particularly strong-looking, with soft features and eyes that seemed to take in everything but reveal little. His gait was uneven, awkward for someone used to a zero-gravity environment. Already, Lyra could feel her amusement rising. Humans were rare in the academy, and most aliens considered them fragile, slow, and laughably naive. Kale seemed to fit that stereotype perfectly. From the moment classes began, Lyra made it her mission to mock him. In the first lecture, when Kale hesitated to answer a question about gravitational adjustments, she leaned back in her chair and whispered loudly enough for nearby students to hear, "He probably thinks gravity is just something that pulls him down. How cute." Some of her classmates chuckled, others simply rolled their eyes. Kale, for his part, gave no outward reaction. He smiled faintly, nodded at the instructor, and continued writing notes in his neat, precise hand. Lyra found his calmness infuriating. She expected shame, embarrassment, or at least some flustered response. Instead, he seemed completely unaffected, as though her words bounced off an invisible shield. This only made her more determined. Over the next few days, she found new ways to tease him, pointing out every misstep in simulations, every small error in technique, every minor misunderstanding of alien culture. The hallways of the academy buzzed with her laughter, echoing around Kale as he silently endured it. But Kale was not as weak as he appeared. While Lyra mocked him, he was quietly observing her. He noted her reflexes in combat simulations, her strategies in problem-solving exercises, and even the subtle tendencies in her speech and body language. He did not rush to prove himself. Instead, he absorbed everything, learning at a pace that shocked even the instructors. By the end of the week, Kale began quietly outperforming several students in minor simulations. Lyra noticed this during a zero-gravity obstacle course. At first, she thought it was a fluke. He moved differently from the other students, his motions fluid yet unexpected. He did not rely on raw strength, like most aliens did, but used timing, anticipation, and clever adjustments to maneuver through the obstacles. By the time he finished, he had completed the course faster and with fewer errors than most of his peers. Lyra frowned, a feeling she had rarely experienced creeping into her chest. Confusion, perhaps, or maybe irritation that someone she considered inferior could suddenly show skill. Still, she refused to show weakness in front of others. She forced a laugh, pretending that she had not been impressed, but her eyes followed Kale more closely from that moment onward. The first major test of their abilities came during the zero-G combat trials. These trials were notorious, designed to test reflexes, coordination, and adaptability in unpredictable conditions. Students were paired at random, and Lyra immediately hoped to be matched with someone competent, not the human she had been mocking. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. Kale was her partner. When the trial began, Lyra assumed she would easily dominate. She was fast, experienced, and confident, but Kale moved with surprising precision. Every time she tried to anticipate his actions, he countered perfectly. He didn't rely on brute force, which made her attacks ineffective, and instead used timing and prediction in a way that seemed almost instinctive. Each maneuver he executed drew whispers from the other students. Lyra's laughter faltered, her confidence shaken. By the end of the trial, Kale and Lyra's team had achieved a flawless victory. Lyra's cheeks burned, a sensation she rarely felt. The human who had seemed fragile, awkward, and laughable had proven himself not only competent but extraordinary. Lyra demanded to know how he had done it. Kale only smiled faintly, as though sharing the secret of his success would be unnecessary. That night, Lyra could not stop replaying the events in her mind. She paced the empty hallways of the academy, feeling a mixture of irritation and fascination. How could a human, so small and seemingly weak, outperform aliens trained their entire lives for these challenges? She had seen Kale quietly studying, but she had assumed it was a slow and basic learning process. Clearly, she had been mistaken. The next day, Lyra tried to regain her dominance, testing Kale in different classes and exercises. She aimed to humiliate him once more, to prove that the zero-G trial had been a lucky accident. But every time, Kale responded with skill and strategy, quietly but effectively. He anticipated her moves in debate exercises, solved complex engineering problems faster than most students, and adapted in combat simulations with uncanny precision. Lyra's frustration grew. She could not figure him out, and it unnerved her. During a particularly challenging simulation involving alien terrain and hazardous environmental conditions, Kale's skills became undeniable. While Lyra's instincts led her to rely on speed and strength, Kale approached the challenge differently. He observed the patterns, calculated the optimal path, and executed each step flawlessly. Lyra, relying on her usual methods, found herself struggling to keep up. At the end of the simulation, Kale had completed the task with minimal effort, while Lyra barely managed to finish on time. The Academy's instructors began to notice as well. They whispered among themselves, impressed by the human's ability to adapt and excel. Lyra felt a mixture of pride in her own accomplishments and a gnawing sense of insecurity. She had always been confident in her superiority, yet Kale, whom she had mocked relentlessly, was rewriting the rules of what she thought possible. Despite her pride, curiosity overtook her. Lyra began watching Kale more closely, studying his movements, his strategies, and even the way he thought. She realized that he had a unique approach to challenges. Unlike many aliens who relied on raw power or instinct honed over centuries, Kale relied on adaptability, observation, and ingenuity. Every step, every decision was calculated, yet fluid and natural. One afternoon, Lyra followed Kale during a break in the Academy gardens. She expected to find him struggling with basic tasks, perhaps reading or examining alien technology with difficulty. Instead, she found him quietly observing the growth patterns of alien flora, noting changes in the environment, and making precise sketches in a small notebook. His mind worked differently, analyzing and adapting in ways she had never seen in any alien student. Intrigued and frustrated, Lyra confronted him. "How do you do it?" she asked, her voice sharper than she intended. "You move like you understand everything instantly, but you're human. How is that possible?" She had expected arrogance or excuses, but there was none. For the first time, she considered that humans might not be as weak as she had assumed. That night, she found herself thinking about Kale long after the day had ended. She replayed his movements, his strategies, and the subtle ways he had outsmarted her in the trials. She began to wonder if all humans were like him, resilient, clever, and underestimated by others. The following week, another test required students to work in pairs to solve a complex engineering problem in zero gravity. Lyra was again paired with Kale, this time reluctantly. She expected to dominate to show him who was superior, but the exercise quickly proved otherwise. Kale's approach was meticulous. He suggested solutions that were elegant in their simplicity, bypassing the need for brute force or complex machinery. Lyra, accustomed to flashy demonstrations of skill, found herself struggling to match him. By the end of the exercise, their team had not only completed the task efficiently, but had also impressed the instructors with innovative solutions. Lyra felt a strange mix of frustration and admiration. She had mocked Kale for his human weakness, yet here he was, excelling in every challenge without apparent effort. Later that evening, Lyra confronted Kale privately. "I don't understand," she admitted, her voice quieter than usual. "How are you so capable? You're not like any other student I've seen. You're human, but you move and think in ways that seem impossible." He was not weak, he was something far more dangerous, a human with the ability to turn apparent disadvantages into triumphs. From that day forward, Lyra's attitude began to shift. She still teased him occasionally, but it was lighter, almost playful, rather than cruel. She began observing him not to mock him, but to understand him. Kale had quietly proven that strength did not always come from raw power or flashy skills, and Lyra, for the first time, felt the thrill of learning from someone she had once considered beneath her. As Part 1 drew to a close, the Academy continued its endless cycle of classes, trials, and competitions. Lyra and Kale moved through it together, their rivalry shifting into a cautious respect. Lyra could not yet admit it fully, but she had begun to understand that humans, for all their apparent fragility, had a resilience and ingenuity that few aliens could match. And Kale, the quiet human she had once mocked, was living proof of that truth. Little did she know, the real test was yet to come, one that would push both of them beyond anything they had faced before and reveal the true depth of Kale's earthly origins. The days that followed Kale's quiet victories in the Academy passed in a haze of anticipation. Lyra could no longer dismiss him as weak. Every exercise, every simulation, every casual observation of his movements revealed more than raw skill. They hinted at something deeper, something uniquely human. And yet, the truth of his origins remained a mystery. The academy was abuzz with rumors about Kale. Other students, previously indifferent, now whispered about his extraordinary ability to adapt and excel where many aliens struggled. Lyra, once the loudest voice of mockery, found herself reluctantly impressed. Still, pride twisted within her. She could not allow herself to be overshadowed by a human without understanding why. It was during a special lecture on interstellar history that Kale finally revealed a fragment of the truth. The class had been discussing ancient civilizations and their methods of survival, their victories and their ultimate downfalls. Kale raised his hand when asked about human civilizations. His voice was calm, steady, and surprisingly confident. "Earth was harsh," he said. "Humans survived because we adapted. We didn't rely on the fastest claws or strongest muscles. We survived through ingenuity, planning, and perseverance. That's why I move and think differently." She realized that he had inherited not just human resilience, but a legacy of survival that stretched back millennia. After the lecture, she confronted him in the quiet halls. "Tell me everything," she demanded, her pride giving way to curiosity. "Why are humans different? How can someone like you do what we can barely manage?" "It's not something easily explained," he said. "Humans have faced challenges that most species cannot imagine. We survived harsh climates, starvation, plagues, wars. Those experiences shaped us. We learned to adapt, to think ahead, to survive where others fail. My abilities come from that legacy, combined with my own training since childhood." She had mocked him for appearances, for small mistakes, and now she realized that his calm demeanor and quiet confidence were not signs of weakness. They were signs of centuries of evolution distilled into one individual. The Academy soon announced a major interstellar simulation. It would combine environmental hazards, combat, and problem-solving across multiple planets. Students were to form teams and navigate these challenges as if they were real missions. Lyra and Kale were again paired, this time not by accident but seemingly by design, as if the instructors recognized the potential synergy between them. From the start, the simulation was brutal. On the first planet, with a dense, toxic atmosphere, most students struggled to navigate the alien terrain while maintaining their life support systems. Lyra moved with her usual agility, dodging falling rocks and unstable ground, but Kale anticipated every hazard before it occurred. He suggested paths, made precise adjustments to equipment, and corrected mistakes before they became dangerous. Lyra, watching him, could not deny his brilliance. On the second planet, a frozen world with extreme temperatures and treacherous ice fields, the challenges intensified. Lyra's reflexes and strength allowed her to move quickly, but she underestimated the environment. Kale's calm, methodical approach guided them both. He used knowledge of friction, balance, and leverage to traverse ice fields that would have trapped most aliens. Lyra felt her respect growing, tinged with frustration. She had always relied on her physical abilities, but Kale's strategy often outperformed brute strength. The final leg of the simulation brought them to a desert planet, where heat, sandstorms, and unpredictable terrain threatened every step. Many teams failed entirely, succumbing to exhaustion or poor planning. Kale, however, adapted seamlessly. He analyzed the winds, predicted the shifting sands, and instructed Lyra on energy conservation. Together, they navigated the planet with precision, finishing the simulation far ahead of all other teams. As they returned to the academy, the instructors were visibly impressed. Lyra, standing beside Kale, realized she had been wrong to underestimate humans. The quiet, unassuming human she had once mocked had proven not only capable but extraordinary. For the first time, she felt a sense of humility, tempered by awe. Later, in a private moment, Kale shared more of his story. He spoke of Earth, a planet often underestimated by the galactic community. Humans were not the largest, strongest, or fastest, but they had survived centuries of chaos. Their adaptability, ingenuity, and indomitable spirit had allowed them to thrive where others would have fallen. "That's the strength humans carry," Kale said softly. "It's not flashy, but it's real." Kale had shown her that intelligence, adaptability, and perseverance could surpass even the most instinctual alien abilities. Her respect for him deepened, and for the first time, she felt genuine admiration for a human. The Academy's peace was soon shattered by an unexpected threat. A rogue faction of alien mercenaries attacked, seeking to steal advanced technology and disrupt the education of the galaxy's most talented students. Panic spread quickly, but Lyra and Kale remained focused. Their combined skills made them natural leaders in the crisis. Kale's strategies relied on adaptability and anticipation. He directed students to defensive positions, optimized resource use, and developed traps using minimal equipment. Lyra's agility and combat training complemented his plans perfectly. Together, they coordinated a defense that no single alien student could have achieved alone. During the heat of the attack, Lyra realized just how powerful Kale's human traits were. Where many aliens relied on instinct or overwhelming force, Kale anticipated moves, adapted instantly, and used the environment to his advantage. His calm demeanor in the face of danger inspired others to act with precision rather than panic. Lyra herself was struck by the clarity and confidence he exuded even under life-threatening conditions. Hours passed in a tense battle, with students moving like shadows across the academy grounds, guided by Kale's instructions. Alien mercenaries underestimated the human and his seemingly frail partner. Each ambush, each defensive maneuver was countered with cunning strategy. Lyra found herself relying on Kale's instincts rather than her own, a humbling but thrilling experience. By the end of the confrontation, the Academy had repelled the invaders with minimal casualties. The instructors praised Kale's leadership, and Lyra's admiration deepened further. She approached him quietly, her usual pride tempered by respect. "I never realized humans could be this strong," she admitted. Kale smiled, not out of vanity, but quiet confidence. In the aftermath, Lyra began to reflect on her previous behavior. She realized that mocking Kale had been a mistake, one rooted in prejudice and arrogance. She had assumed that humans were fragile and weak, but Kale had proven that strength was more than muscle or reflexes. It was intelligence, adaptability, and an unyielding spirit. Their partnership became legendary within the Academy. Lyra and Kale complemented each other perfectly. Her reflexes, agility, and instinctive understanding of alien combat, paired with his strategy, adaptability, and human ingenuity. Together, they set new standards for what could be achieved by collaboration across species. In quiet moments, Lyra often thought about Kale's origins. She realized that humans had survived countless challenges on Earth, a planet often underestimated by the galaxy. They had faced natural disasters, wars, and extinction-level events, and yet they persisted. That resilience, distilled through generations, gave humans an edge that few could understand until they witnessed it firsthand. Kale himself remained humble throughout. He never boasted about his abilities or his heritage. Instead, he focused on learning, observing, and adapting. His calm confidence, his ability to see patterns where others saw chaos, and his unshakable spirit became an inspiration not only to Lyra but to the entire Academy. As months passed, the bond between Lyra and Kale deepened. Their rivalry transformed into a partnership based on mutual respect and trust. Lyra's initial mockery had given way to admiration, and Kale's quiet strength had reshaped her understanding of power and capability. She learned that true strength was not always visible at first glance, and that humans, underestimated and overlooked, carried a legacy of survival and ingenuity that could surpass even the most advanced alien abilities. When the Academy's year-end assessments approached, Lyra and Kale faced the ultimate challenge, a simulated mission involving multiple planets, unpredictable hazards, and complex problem-solving. They moved seamlessly together, Kale analyzing each situation and devising strategies, while Lyra executed them with precision and skill. The instructors watched in awe as they completed the mission with a combination of brains, agility, and unwavering determination. At the conclusion, Lyra turned to Kale, her golden eyes reflecting both respect and wonder. "I understand now," she said softly. "Humans, we underestimated you, but you've shown me what real strength looks like. It's not just reflexes or power. It's resilience, adaptability, and heart." Lyra and Kale had shown that strength could take many forms, and that human ingenuity and resilience were forces to be reckoned with. Students from every corner of the galaxy began to see humans differently, not as fragile creatures, but as beings capable of extraordinary feats. As the sun set over the floating academy, Lyra and Kale stood together, looking out over the endless expanse of stars. Lyra realized that she had learned more than tactics and skills. She had learned humility, respect, and the true meaning of strength. And Kale, the quiet human she had once mocked, had proven to the entire galaxy that Earth's children were not to be underestimated. Their journey had begun with mockery, but it ended in understanding, partnership, and the undeniable truth that humans, through centuries of survival and adaptation, possessed a power that could stand equal to any alien species. And in that truth, Lyra found both awe and inspiration, knowing that she had witnessed the emergence of a hero not defined by appearance or pride, but by spirit and intellect, the very essence of humanity.